If the past is prologue, we know what to expect from this year's El Nino.
Fallen tree branches, maybe down power lines, power outages. So people need to be aware that this is going to happen and be prepared.
In reality, storms during El Ninos are the same as those of non-El Nino years. The difference is that the storms can be more numerous.
So during past strong El Ninos, we've seen more like a dozen significant storms where we see one or 2 inches of rainfall at the lowest elevations. During a normal year, they may only see 5 or 6 storms.
More numerous storms coupled with high winds equates to lots of coastal damage and erosion. It also equates to saturated soil, which can lead to flooding. Knowing this is beneficial in that we have time to prepare.
So this is the time when we get our sandbags, when we kind of look at our house, what shape our roof is in, our windows, make sure that everything's in tip-top shape. And this is the time to create our ready kit.
That means going to the grocery store and stocking up on enough water, food, and supplies for you, all family members, and pets to last at least 5 days.
Non-perishable food, because if we do have a power outage, that make sure that you're equipped, right, to be prepared for that. Warm clothes, some blankets, closed shoes.
Before the storm is also the time to examine your property to determine where you might need to do some work.
So clean the gutters, the downpipes, anything that might cause some sort of damage, and making sure that our roof is in a good condition too, because there's folks that haven't checked their roof in like decades.
One of the most effective yet overlooked pre-disaster procedures is the creation of a family communication plan.
So having that plan of where you're going to meet, right? If you can't get to your house because there's flooding or whatever, there's a down power line, some down tree branches, how are you going to get from point A to point B, right? So having a place to reunite in your neighborhood and then outside your neighborhood. And then we talk about having an out-of-state contact person, an emergency contact person, and that's important too, so you can communicate, because we don't know if maybe the cell phones might not be working, or any form of communication that we're used to utilizing, it might not be working, and so we have to have those alternatives.
Another tactic of the family communication plan involves taking the road less traveled.
I keep challenging folks when I do training or preparedness talks that they take alternate routes home to and from work, right? And just challenge themselves for when that disaster strikes or those floods come or those strong rains, they actually have ways of getting to and from.
If you are going to drive when the weather's bad, you have to make sure your vehicle can handle it.
Especially the tires, making sure that they're not worn down, because then you end up on a slide.
Something else to consider is safeguarding your important documents.
You might need to evacuate, right? And so you need to have that ready, right? Having your documents, I strongly advise folks to either make copies, hard copies of them, or putting them in a flash drive, or putting them in a cloud somewhere, and just having them stored in a safe place.
And no matter what the disaster is, it's always critical to stay informed.
We need to be aware of what's going on, and it's our job to know if there's roads that are closed or whatnot, how to get to work, and just being informed, staying tuned on the news, on the radio, and that's also an important part of our kit, because we need to include a hand crank radio or a battery powered radio.
Staying informed also means registering your cell phone number with the reverse 911 system. That's because cell phones are not automatically registered. So if you, like many people, don't have a landline, you won't receive the important information this service provides. Registration is simple and can be done at sbsheriff.org. Finally, the last tip on how to deal with stormy weather may be the easiest.
We strongly advise for folks not to drive unless they absolutely have to in a storm.
You see it a lot back east, where a lot of people are in those flooded areas and they end up sliding off the road or sliding into another vehicle. It's better just to stay home.